Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning. Today I'm looking at whether or not Justin Herbert is a top 10 quarterback heading into the 2021 NFL season. But before getting to that topic, question for those of you viewing and new Chargers fans. This is a opinionated question, not a fact-based question. Who do you think is the all-time Chargers player? Who's your favorite all-time Chargers player? Who's your best all-time Chargers player? However you kind of want to phrase it. Outside of LT, you cannot pick LaDainian Tomlinson because he would probably be the obvious choice for a lot of people. So that leaves, your big names, Junior Seau, Phillip Rivers, Dan Fouts, Antonio Gates, Lance Allworth, the big names. But you cannot pick LT. Who is your all-time Chargers player? Comment it below, and I will give you my opinion at the end. But getting into this topic, top 10 heading into your sophomore year as a quarterback is hard. It's kind of a hard bracket and par to be a part of, but Justin Herbert is one of those quarterbacks that has the potential too. I did a video on this on Joe Burrow, and I had him sitting right outside of the top 10, but in my opinion, I do think Justin Herbert is better than Joe Burrow, especially because we do not know how Burrow will be after his injury. I think he'll be 100%. I think he'll be fine, but it's definitely a factor. But looking at Herbert in the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, there are 7 non-debatable top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL right now, in my opinion. You got Josh Allen, not in any order. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is my only iffy one. I'm not a big Lamar Jackson fan at quarterback long term, but right now in today's game, he wins football games and he is one of the top 7 quarterbacks. I don't think any of those are negotiable to not be in the top 10. They don't have to be in your top 7 exactly. But if any of those 7 guys aren't in your top 10, I feel like you don't have the greatest argument to make this case. Not saying I'm an expert, but just in my opinion, of those quarterbacks, they have to be in your top 10. Real quick again, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, 80 years old or not, whatever he is, fossil, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson. Then I'm not even going to, go through the back half quarterback names in the NFL, such as your Daniel Jones, Alex Smith, Mitch Trubisky, Cam Newton. But there is a middle of the pack where Justin Herbert falls under, and we have to see if of those top 7 quarterbacks, or 1 through 7, can Justin Herbert make the 8 through 10 mark, 8, 9, or 10? Again, not in any specific order, but is he a top 10 quarterback? You got those guys that float around that range. Dak Prescott, a lot of people like Kyler Murray. I'm not the biggest fan. Matt Stafford, Ryan Tannehill is a big name. I'm going to exclude Drew Brees because I'm very certain he's going to retire, so he will not be a part of this conversation. You got Big Ben, you got Derek Carr, you got a Carson Wentz. Yeah, he's had a fall-off year, but I still think he's a good quarterback with raw talent. Baker Mayfield, Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, and of course Justin Herbert. And to me, it's going to be close, but there are a lot of names I would take Justin Herbert over in that middle of the pack team. I would take Herbert over Big Ben. I would take Herbert over Kirk Cousins. I would take Herbert over Derek Carr. I would take Herbert over Baker Mayfield, over Kyler Murray. That is a big one that I know, a lot of people will not agree with. They're very invested in Kyler Murray. To me, I like him. I think he's a solid quarterback, but to me, he's just kind of a knockoff version of Lamar Jackson. He's not as fast. Neither of them have great arms, but to me, he's just really small, and I wouldn't invest in him for the future as my franchise guy. I'm not completely sold on him, especially when we're comparing him to Herbert. In general, like I said, I think he's solid, but when I'm comparing him to Herbert, I'm going with Herbert, who has all the tangibles I want to see in a quarterback. So again, I take Herbert over Cousins. I take him over Big Ben at this point in his career, over Derek Carr, over Baker Mayfield, over Kyler Murray, over Matt Ryan. And then kind of the few that are left are Ryan Tannehill, Matt Stafford, Dak Prescott, and Justin Herbert are kind of the 4 biggest names, and Herbert obviously needs to top one of those guys if he wants to make the last 3 of my top 10 cut, 8, 9, or 10. And really, I think the biggest jump is going to come over probably Matt Ryan. If I would take him. I already had him over Matt Ryan, but like I said, it would be Matthew Stafford, Dak Prescott, Ryan Tannehill, Justin Herbert, and he has to make the jump over one of those. I think Ryan Tannehill is really underrated. I think Matthew Stafford's pretty viable. I think he has a lot of raw skill, but he doesn't win. Dak Prescott, great quarterback, one of the highest paid in the NFL right now, and then Justin Herbert has pure talent. To me, Herbert would be right in that 10 spot, probably edging out Matthew Stafford, but even that would be a tough pick for me. I do think Prescott is better than him at this point in his career. Just if you had to pick a guy to win a season today, just because Herbert could have a lot more rookie mistakes. He could have had beginner's luck. I don't think he did, but it's definitely possible. I think I would take Prescott over Herbert. Tannehill, a lot of people disagree with me. I would take Herbert over Tannehill, and then Matt Stafford and Justin Herbert are a toss-up. You can't really go wrong. Then you got those guys just a nick under Justin Herbert and Matt Ryan and Kirk Cousins and Kyler Murray and Big Ben, Baker Mayfield, Carson Wentz, Derek Carr, so on and so forth. To me, yes, he makes the top 10. He's probably 9 or 10. He's not going to jump the list and be top 5 by any means right now. But I do think roughly it goes for me: Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, again in no order, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford, and then right outside is Ryan Tannehill, Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield, Big Ben, Kyler Murray, Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan. Say what you want. Those are my top 10 quarterbacks. You can argue as much as you want. I think Justin Herbert has a bright future, and if I'm starting a franchise, I'm investing in my future for my NFL team, Justin Herbert's going to make my top 10. He has one of the brightest futures. He's on one of the cheapest contracts in the NFL, starting quarterback-wise. He's on his rookie contract, and I just think the future is bright. I think he'll take the Chargers to the playoffs the very next year. Obviously, the roster around him will help. Bengals and Joe Burrow, I think he has the talent to take a team to the playoffs, but the talent around him is abysmal. Yes, there's some, but nothing compared to what Herbert has, so I do think Herbert benefits from that a little. Either way, not the point. I do think Herbert will make the list. Of course, Joe Burrow was in that list of those guys. Justin Herbert is right around, but like I said previously, Justin Herbert is right over Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow might be the 11th spot, right behind Matt Stafford, right around Ryan Tannehill. Again, a lot of people like Kyler Murray and Ryan Tannehill, and I am fond of them, and I think they're solid, but if I'm investing in the future, Kyler Murray, you've already heard my thoughts on him, and Ryan Tannehill, I think he's proven to be, a starting quarterback, but I'd like to see him in an offense that isn't so run-heavy, run-centric, and Derrick Henry. I want to see him, if he was in a Josh Allen's Buffalo Bills offense where all they do is rely on the passing game, could Ryan Tannehill still be a great starting quarterback that could throw through the air? I think he could be a starting quarterback, but he wouldn't be as highly praised as we think he is if he was in a complete different offense that was pass-centric rather than run-centric. So, for me, that is my top 10 NFL quarterbacks roughly, and I do think Justin Herbert just makes the cut at 10 or 9, and right behind him is Joe Burrow, would probably be directly behind Justin Herbert, and then you got, like I said, Matt Ryan, Baker Mayfield, Big Ben, Derek Carr, Carson Wentz, Kirk Cousins. You know the list, it goes on. But yes, Justin Herbert just barely makes my top 10 quarterbacks. I know it's early, but I think he has the potential, and I think he is already there going into his sophomore's year. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. I know a lot of you are going to disagree, and a lot of you will agree, but like I said, let me know down below. And for my favorite Chargers player, it's probably got to be Phillip Rivers. Kind of a basic answer, but even though he never won the big game for him, he's one of the most loyal quarterbacks, one of the most loyal players in Chargers history, and I do think he's more than likely going to be a Hall of Famer for the Chargers. Thanks for watching, guys. 2-1 warning.